The laughter came first, sharp and careless, echoing across the sunlit concrete yard as the ragged man stepped forward with dust on his shoes and hope in his eyes, pointing calmly at 5 brand-new Mercedes trucks lined up like silver giants under the open sky. No one expected that moment to change everything, least of all the men who were already smiling at his torn jacket and weathered hands. What they did not realize was that this single laugh would become the most expensive mistake of their lives. If you believe that kindness and second chances can change destinies, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Life Spark Stories, because stories like this remind us that miracles often arrive wearing ordinary faces. The man's name was Farid Halim, and the midday sun revealed every line of hardship etched into his face. He had arrived at the dealership on foot, passing rows of polished vehicles and fluttering flags, his shadow stretching long across the pavement. To most eyes, he looked like someone who had wandered in by mistake, a man who belonged to the street rather than a place where million-rupee machines were sold. The sales team, led by Victor Kessler, had already decided he was there to ask for directions or water. Farid's clothes were clean but worn thin, his hair silvered early by years of labor, and his posture carried the weight of a life spent being overlooked. Yet his eyes held a quiet certainty that did not flicker even as smirks formed around him. The dealership buzzed with the sound of business as Farid explained, calmly and without haste, that he would take 5 Mercedes trucks, the heavy-duty models built for endurance and distance. The air itself seemed to pause, then break into amusement. Victor and the others glanced at one another, certain they were witnessing a joke unfolding in the bright afternoon light. Farid felt the familiar burn of judgment rise in his chest, a feeling he had carried since losing everything years ago when a failed partnership and a sudden illness had stripped him of his transport company, his savings, and his standing. He had slept in warehouses, worked under the table, and rebuilt quietly, choosing patience over bitterness. This moment was the result of years of silent struggle, but explaining that felt unnecessary. He had learned that truth did not always need defending. The challenge came swiftly and publicly. Proof was demanded, not with words but with raised eyebrows and dismissive gestures. Farid reached into his battered bag and pulled out documents that told a different story, contracts stamped and signed, bank confirmations reflecting a fortune earned far from polished showrooms. As the papers passed from hand to hand, the laughter faded, replaced by an uneasy stillness. The sun glinted off the trucks, and for the first time Victor noticed how Farid's hands, though rough, moved with confidence, as if he had known machines and roads all his life. The mistake was dawning, slow and heavy. The mood shifted completely when the final confirmation came through. 5 trucks, paid in full, delivery requested immediately. The yard that had felt so welcoming moments ago now felt small to those who had laughed. Farid stood quietly as arrangements were made, his gaze resting on the vehicles not with pride, but with gratitude. Each truck represented a second chance, not just for him, but for the drivers he planned to employ, men and women like him who had fallen and were waiting for someone to believe in them again. The laughter had turned into silence, and silence into respect, though it came too late to erase the earlier cruelty. As the afternoon wore on and the trucks rolled out one by one under the bright sky, Farid felt something loosen inside him. Not triumph, but peace. He had carried the weight of being underestimated for so long that releasing it felt unfamiliar. Victor watched from the steps, understanding that wealth was not always loud, and dignity did not depend on appearance. The biggest mistake was not doubting Farid's money, but forgetting his humanity. If this story has touched your heart and reminded you that appearances can deceive and perseverance can rewrite fate, please take a moment to like, share, and engage with this video so more people can feel this message of hope. Before the ending, a special request from the heart. Please comment below and share what this story made you feel or the lesson you took from Farid's journey.